पाकिस्तान है रमजान पाकिस्तान।
काश मैं दौरे पैगंबर में उठाया जाता, काश मैं दौरे पैगंबर में उठाया जाता, काश मैं दौरे पैगंबर में उठाया जाता, बाखुदा कदमों में सरकार के पाया जाता, काश मैं दौरे पैगंबर में उठाया जाता, या उतरता मैं किसी नात के मिसरे बनकर, या उतरता मैं किसी नात के मिसरे बनकर, रूबरू उनके मैं उनको ही सुनाया जाता, रूबरू उनके मैं उनको ही सुनाया जाता, रेत के ज़र्रों में अल्लाह बदल देता मुझे, रेत के ज़र्रों में अल्लाह बदल देता मुझे, फिर मुझे राह मोहम्मद में बिछाया जाता, फिर मुझे राह मोहम्मद में बिछाया जाता, काश मैं दौरे पैगंबर में उठाया जाता।
MashaAllah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum Pakistan and welcome to our special and exclusive Sahur transmission here on Pakistan's only English channel. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz, joined with my co-anchor Naila Shuja. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you doing, Ahmed?
I'm good. A bit down today, aren't we?
We are. I think the weather is getting to me. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold.
It's been
a
very
little
tricky. I actually felt like, you know, the peak summers have hit us in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
And I didn't bring a jacket in the evening, and boy did I feel cold after
Yeah,
that.
it's really chilly outside
Absolutely.
today. Goodness gracious. So how are you doing?
I'm very well,
Any
alhamdulillah.
activities that you made happen today?
Well, a lot of good deeds have been on the cards, and I think
Wonderful.
everything is in sync with Ramadan. And you know, I was reading something very beautiful today, which was in poetic verses regarding Ramadan. And you know, I read it and I thought it was something that we should share with our audience as well. So you know, the poet rightly put it as बेज़ुबानों को जब वो ज़ुबान देता है पढ़ने को वो कुरान देता है बख्शने जब आए अपनी उम्मत को तो तोहफे में अल्लाह ताला रमज़ान देता है तो I thought this was so beautiful. I read it on the way to the office today and I thought that this is something that we should share with you. That's why we keep on telling you every day throughout this Suhoor transmission that treat this month as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, carry the blessings forward, not just in Ramadan, but after Ramadan as well. You know, Eid is a fantastic moment when you get to, you know, meet and greet everyone. Then you should continue that discipline throughout the year as well, throughout your lifetimes, because this is a great month in which you not only attain taqwa, but also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you a crash course of how to become a great leader as well.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be talking about that. We just heard a beautiful naat that was recited by Miss Laiba Mughal. Assalamu alaikum, Laiba.
Walaikum.
Thank you very much, mashallah. You've got a beautiful voice. I think that was a wonderful naat and a great start to the Suhoor transmission as well. And of course, like I said, we're going to be talking about leadership today. We'll be involving a lot of your questions as well regarding leadership throughout the month that we have witnessed as well. And to talk more on this, we've been joined by the expert, somebody who happens to be a scholar, who will be touching upon this very subject of what leadership really is and how we can use the discipline attained in Ramadan to carry it forward. So we've been joined by Dr. Saeed Akhtar. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamualaikum.
How are you, sir?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Now, sir, as we know, this is a great month for Muslim Ummah.
Exactly.
It's not just a blessing, but like I mentioned, that it's a guidebook of discipline that we attain. Everything before Ramadan actually comes into a routine during Ramadan. It syncs together. So how can we use this month to develop leadership qualities and discipline throughout our life?
Thank you so much. Quran says, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the people who are projected for humanity. Now you have to work for humanity. The most foremost responsibility of Ummah is to work and to lead humanity. It is the primary responsibility. The believers are not the leaders of Ummah only, they are leaders of humanity. If you think in terms of Ummah only, Muslims only, Muslim rights, Muslim unity, Muslim interests, then you are not compatible with the philosophy of Quran and Anbiya and Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you have to proceed with the mission of humanity. For this purpose, Ramzan plays a special role. As you are saying, it's a gift of Allah Ta'ala. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah Ta'ala has ordained fasting for you as it was ordained for the previous peoples. La'allakum tattaqun, the purpose is to make you pious. Now this piety, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani relates it with justice and fairness. And this justice and fairness is not at individual level. No concept of Islam is at individual level. It is to work at societal level, national level, collective level. Secondarily, it might be for individual guidance, but the main purpose of Islam is to create a system for society, for people. Now this fairness and justice, this is socio-economic justice, you can say. This is not only concerned with judiciary, and this is to be set up for the whole people, for the nation. And this work is definitely the work of leadership. Those who establish this system and perpetuate it, they are leaders. So the primary responsibility is that of leadership. And if we see it from another angle, Allah Ta'ala has bestowed human beings with the image of His own attributes. Fitratullahi allati fataran nas alayha. We are gifted with the image of attributes of Zat-e Bari Ta'ala. For example, He is Adil. This attribute of justice is gifted to us as well. He is Alimul Ghaib. We are provided this perception, quality of perception, so that we can peep into the future. He is Rabb. He causes growth of the people, physical, spiritual, mental, intellectual, every kind of. So we are given this quality as well. We have to set up a system that makes the people grow in all these respects. So, there are numerous uncountable attributes of Zat-e Bari Ta'ala, we cannot count them. We are gifted with the image of that. With Allah Ta'ala, these attributes are infinitive,
Absolutely.
and for us, as compared to his qualities, his attributes, we are equal to nothingness. But as compared to other creatures, we have these qualities to infinitiveness. We have again, as compared to other creatures, these qualities among us are countless.
And so
Immeasurable.
the code of Islam is very important to understand. And why do we say that Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam Khatamun Nabiyyin is Rahmatul lil Alameen? Why? Because the fact remains that if you remember those times in Makkah, all sorts of ills of society were there. There was lawlessness, there wasn't any justice, as you mentioned, which is the primary goal right now. There were no rights of women enshrined. Daughters were being buried upon birth. They were treated like commodities. There was the rule and the concept of slavery, and everything was there. But as soon as Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam started preaching Islam, we saw systematically that every right was given to every entity that existed, every segment of society. Namaz taught us that that there is no difference, we're all one together. So how should we elaborate this for the future generations? Right now there are many ills in society, but that brings us to the point that that's why it's important for us to revert to the original code of life, which is the Holy Quran, and this is the month of Holy Quran as well.
Yes, exactly. The society of Makkah or Hijaz that had all these evils, but it was not void of potential altogether. They had the potential. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came as prophet for humanity, but his primary mission was to educate, to train the Quraysh in Makkah and prepare them as a party, because Islam, Quran, they think in terms of collectivity, societal system. So he prepared a party which was trained, educated in terms of all these concepts. They were spiritually purified, they were morally purified, they were intellectually trained, they were academically elevated. He taught them the laws and rules of humanity, laws and rules of rise and fall of nations, their economic realities, their social realities. So there was a complete package of thinking. There was a system of thought that was to be practical, that was to be put into practice as a system. Now our people, religious people, they teach different aspects of Islam, but their focus is on individual. Individually you reform yourself, the society would be all right. No, Islam presents everything, as I repeatedly said, in terms of system for the whole society, the people. So he did this, he carried out the same mission. He prepared a party for that, and no individual, by the way, no individual can set up a system as well. The first and primary mission of the prophets has been to prepare a party. That party would bring a change, establish a system, and that would perpetuate. Otherwise, and in an individual, first of all, he cannot bring change. The achievement of the individual is, like prophets and the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that they succeeded in creating a party. So they prepared a party. The Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, 13 years of Makki period, that is the period of preparing the party on the same lines. So we have to teach our youth that see Islam, see Quranic teachings in terms of system, which they have to establish, then the social evils can be eradicated. And Ramazan, I was going to talk, provides an opportunity. It's a great occasion to provide to carry out these ideas, these concepts into practice, and it trains. I was talking of attributes of Zat-e Bari Ta'ala. The more you polish these attributes in yourself at societal level, the nearer to God you are. And you know, Zat-e Bari Ta'ala is at the helm of affairs of the universe. If you create these images in yourself, individually and collectively, you will be at the helm of affairs in the world. For example, I was saying, he is Adil. If you create a system of justice and fairness,
yes.
you will be at the helm of affairs. And Ramzan provides the opportunity in terms that you have the chance to polish these images. Allah Ta'ala does not sleep. It's not possible for us not to sleep altogether. But in Ramazan, we have shorter time for sleep.
Yes, sir.
When you have shorter time for sleep, definitely you will in contact with Zat-e Bari Ta'ala, with Quran, with worship, with Salat, with contemplation. Actually, the purpose is to contemplate. When you have time, so you must contemplate, and Ramzan provides this opportunity. You eat less, you negate the power of matter in the universe. Existence of matter is definitely a fact.
A reality,
And
yes.
we cannot negate it. We cannot go to spiritual world, spiritual elevation, negating this material fact. Our existence is material, our body is material, we have material needs, and the universe around us, that is material universe. So our needs are linked with that. So you have to make your spirit or soul progress within this material body. So, but this matter, I used to say, is the first coming reality to humans, but it is not the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is Zat-e Bari Ta'ala. So when you negate this reality for a certain time, for 12 hours, 13 hours or so, this is symbolic that you accept that this is not the ultimate power. The ultimate power is Zat-e Bari Ta'ala, and you get nearer to him. And when you get nearer to him, you rise to leadership. And secondly, it is often said that it makes us realize how the people who are without food, how they live.
They feel, yes.
But this is not for individual thinking.
Collective, yes.
Yes, collective. We, as an intelligent person or intelligentsia on the whole, if they are sensitive, they must be inspired to create a system of justice, fairness, that should provide material commodities, material needs to all humanity. So we must be inspired by this fact when we realize the force of hunger, the power of hunger, how it can spoil society. So we must be tempted to create a system.
Absolutely.
And this makes you leader in society when you are inspired to create a fair system of fair socio-economic system.
The element of free will also comes into place. That is something that we've been given as human beings. So talking about this free will that we have, how can we actually use it to better ourselves and become better Muslims using all of the traits and characteristics that you've mentioned?
You have to study Quran Kareem, but under some guidance. And you have to perceive all the things. You have to be intellectualize these facts, but definitely under some guidance. There is a common trend these days in modern times. You read the Quran yourself. You cannot read yourself. You may read, but you cannot be perfect unless you take guidance from them. So, study Quran, its deep ideas, deep thoughts and its purposes, and that under some guidance, and study it as a system, not as individual guidance. So, when you have this opportunity of reading and you sit with the people who are educated, who are intellectual, who are spiritually and morally elevated people, they were trained, they were educated and they were given the authority to guide others. Like in daily life, we go to universities, we go to classrooms to learn from the people who are already learned.
Who are in
and
charge of that, yes.
They pass through the process. So, your study plus your company, your interaction with the guided people, that can lead you towards real perceptions and actual understanding of the Holy Quran and Sunnah and ahadith and
Absolutely.
the whole system.
The way forward, I think Dr. Saab has defined it brilliantly, that it's a step-by-step process, and that's why the importance of people who are equipped with these tools becomes imperative. Nobody can just go on, and that's why I always tell people that in order to understand our deen, in order to talk about that responsibility solemnly lies on people who are the custodians of it, in terms of ulama and mashayikh and people who are religious scholars. They should have the liberty only to talk about deen. Me, you, everybody else can of course understand it, but we cannot issue a statement based on that. But we have to go towards a break. But before we do that, we'll just request Laiba if you can recite another naat for us, please.
मेरे मौला करम हो करम, 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 तुझसे फरियाद करते हैं हम, तुझसे फरियाद करते हैं हम, मेरे मौला करम हो करम, मेरे मौला करम हो करम, मेरे मौला करम हो करम, बेकसों को सहारा मिले, डूबतों को किनारा मिले, बेकसों को सहारा मिले, डूबतों को किनारा मिले, सर से तूफान पल में टले, जो तेरा एक इशारा मिले, तू करे जो मेहरबानियाँ, दूर हो जाए हर एक गम, मेरे मौला करम हो करम,
Welcome back, Pakistan, to our exclusive transmission of Sahur here on Pakistan's only English channel, PTV World. Now, after the break, it's excitement for all of you because you're participating in our Cheesiest Question of the Day contest as well, where you win a fantastic voucher by Cheesiest, Pakistan's very own brand. So, of course, we've got the winner and the correct answer for yesterday's question. So, congratulations, of course. Who was the first Caliph of Islam? The correct answer, Hazrat Abu Bakr. The winner is Sayyid Asim Shah. So, congratulations to Sayyid Asim Shah, who hails from Haripur, and he contacted us from there, and he was the first one to answer this question.
Congratulations,
so congratulations,
Asim,
on winning this fantastic voucher by Cheesiest, and of course we'll be moving on to the question of today in a while as well, but before that we also have to tell you to scan the QR code.
Absolutely. Go on our social media, PTV World, on our Facebook and all of our other social media platforms, and
Instagram,
especially YouTube as well. Like, comment, share, and take a screenshot. Send it to us via email as well as, you know, with your address as well. And hopefully you will be the next winner.
Hopefully you'll win that as well. But what you got to do is scan this QR code, and where you have to send it is very easy. Ramzan Pakistan @ptv.com.pk is where you send us all your details after taking this screenshot and scanning the QR code. And as Naila mentioned, like, follow, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Of course, let's move on to today's cheesiest question of the day, and then of course we'll tell you something very interesting about the importance of today as well. But before we do that, the question for the day is: in the Battle of Badr, the infidels were commanded by Abu Sufyan, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, or Abd al-Wud. This is of course a very important day today in history of Islamic context. So in the Battle of Badr, the infidels, the Kuffar Makkah, were commanded by Abu Sufyan, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, or Abd al-Wud. So these are your options. Tell us the correct answer via our live stream on YouTube. You can comment on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email it to us as well. And please, please, please don't forget to include your telephone number so our team can contact you and you can win this fantastic voucher. That being said, 17th of Ramadan.
Absolutely. A very important day.
The first ever time, you know, the believers, who we call, of course, the Muslims, were in front of their enemies, the Kuffar Makkah. The first ever time the Battle of Badr takes place, and what a historic battle. The Muslims, of course, greatly outnumbered. The ratio is 1,000 to 313. And what happens is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends in divine help in the forms of angels who come and, you know, are joined in battle by the Muslims. They joined the Lashkar, and of course, what a historic battle this was, in which of course the believers, the righteous, were victorious over the Kuffar Makkah. And this is the first ever instance of divine help for those who believe. Once again, I stress upon this fact that faith will get you a long way, ladies and gentlemen, trust me. So you have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you fight in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's where the divine help comes from as well. So very important day, 17th of Ramadan, we celebrate the victory of the Battle of Badr. That being said, in this segment we'll be talking about the rights, the constitution, as we mentioned before the break as well with Dr. Saab, that Islam is the only religion that gave a complete guidance, a code book to the rights of not only women, of society, of human beings, a complete, you know, system of justice that we will be talking about. And of course, to talk more on this, we've been joined by somebody who happens to be a legal expert, a lawyer who joins us as well, Mr. Salman Abbas. Assalamu alaikum, Salman. How are you?
Ramzan Mubarak, and thanks so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum assalam, Ramzan Mubarak to the both of you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Salman, we need to understand, you know, some basic principles that our religion enshrines in the guidebook Holy Quran, and that, of course, have then been translated and converted into what we now know as the Constitution and the legal rights that have been given to each and every citizen of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. As a legal expert yourself, how do you see these constitutional rights that have been given to our society in terms of what Islam teaches us to, you know, act as a whole of community as well?
Absolutely, Ahmed. You mentioned about the rights. When we talk about the rights from a legal standpoint, it is very important to understand the rights from a constitutional standpoint. Now, since Pakistan has a written constitution of its own, which is based on Islamic principles, there are a set of rights available to the citizens as well as any person living in Pakistan at the time. And Constitution of Pakistan provides a comprehensive set of rights that are available to all persons. So, talking about the constitutional rights, the Constitution of Pakistan provides that it is an inalienable right of every person to be dealt with in accordance with law and to enjoy equal protection of law. And then, interestingly, we have a dedicated chapter called the Fundamental Rights in our Constitution, which is derived or inspired from the Islamic principles, since Pakistan itself is an Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Now, it is so important to understand your rights because for an effective dispensation of justice, it is very important for the citizens to be aware of their rights. And our constitution is founded on these fundamental rights. And these fundamental rights are so important that the constitution in Article 8 provides that no law can be passed in Pakistan which is in derogation or violative of the fundamental rights. And now these fundamental rights include the right of life, right to liberty, right to dignity, as well as certain freedoms such as the freedom of movement, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of trade. Uh, and all these rights you'd see are also part of the Islamic teachings, and these rights are enshrined in the fundamental rights and in the Constitution of Pakistan.
Absolutely. So, Salman, understanding all of this, how can we truly enforce these rights and liberties that we have, in real life?
So that is the important topic, Naila, because like I mentioned, the Constitution in Article 8 provides that no law can be passed in Pakistan which is violative of the fundamental rights. Now, this is such a significant topic because it binds the legislature or the state that it cannot make any law which abridges or violates the fundamental rights that are available to the citizens of Pakistan. And for the citizens, if they feel that any action or any law has been passed which is violative of their fundamental rights, the citizens can approach courts, especially the high courts, or if the matter is of public importance, to the Supreme Court and get their rights enforced. Now, if an action taken by the executive or a law passed by the legislature is violative of the fundamental rights, then the courts are competent to strike down that law or to declare that executive action or any action taken by the state to be illegal and void.
Absolutely. But one of the key principles we see of Islamic teachings during the time of Fatah Makkah was that Islam is the very first and only religion that enshrines rights for women in its religion as well. How does the state of Pakistan then take its guidance from Islamic principles in terms of providing constitutional rights to women in Pakistan, and how do you see them as a legal expert, and how much have we come forward in making sure that these laws are enforced throughout the country?
So, Ahmed, Article 25 of the Constitution provides that all citizens are to be treated equal before the law and they are entitled to enjoy equal protection of law. But interestingly, the same article also provides that nothing shall prevent the state from taking special measures to protect and safeguard the interests of women. And again, in Article 34, the Constitution provides that the state shall take measures and special provisions to ensure women's participation in all spheres of life. And we have seen multiple examples, even more so recently, where the state has effectively introduced some progressive legislations advancing at women's rights. So you have examples such as the Protection Against Workplace Harassment, you have enforcement of Women Property Rights Act, you have amendments in the criminal laws pertaining to subjects such as honor killings and various harassment or gender-based violence related issues. And so you see not only the legislature, but also the courts, while interpreting these provisions, have taken a very progressive approach in terms of securing the rights of the women. And so even recently, you have seen multiple examples where the courts, as well as the legislature, have really stepped up to not only protect but also safeguard the rights of women and trying to bring them more into the mainstream right next to their male counterparts.
Speaking of safeguarding rights, what about the minorities in Pakistan? What are the ways and what are some of the challenges that, might be faced regarding the minorities specifically in Pakistan?
So you see, Pakistan hosts a lot of minorities, and minority issues have surfaced and resurfaced a lot of times in Pakistan. Talking from the constitutional standpoint, again, the Constitution in Article 36 also mandates the state to take special measures in order to protect the legitimate rights and interests of minorities. And then you have fundamental rights that prohibit discrimination in terms of service, discrimination in terms of public places. And recently, you have witnessed some progressive legislations such as the Child Restraint Marriages Act and legislations advancing against forced conversions. So you do see some progressive steps being taken by the state to sort of protect the rights of minorities and to give them the protections that are uh, allowed to them or are given to them by the Constitution.
Okay, so circling back to the rights and the enforcement element, there are some challenges that we face in the society regarding law and order. So, what are some of those challenges, and how can we practically address those challenges ahead?
So we've talked about the constitutional provisions and we've talked about the legislations, but one serious issue that persists in Pakistan are social issues. You can legislate laws, you can enact certain provisions, but a lot of these issues, the root of these issues go to the social problems. It is so a lot of times you feel that even though the laws are there, the laws are encoded, but when it comes to their implementation by the law enforcement agencies, these minorities, women, and a lot of citizens feel too many issues in enforcing their rights. And then sometimes you see laws being enacted, but in terms of their implementation, you see a lot of social problems associated with them. So in order for their implementation, it is very important that, number one, the citizens are aware of their rights, and you need to launch programs, awareness programs where the citizens are made aware of their rights. And then you need to also make sure that the law enforcement agencies also undergo the mandatory training sessions where they understand the sensitivity of these issues and they're equipped to better handle the issues that the citizens face in their ordinary lives, not only individually, but also collectively.
Absolutely. Salman, this brings us to a very important question. Now, of course, you've defined how the Constitution provides these rights to each and every citizen of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. But a very important element of the judicial system, and especially in Pakistan, is I think, which is something that has been practiced diligently in Pakistan, is of course Article 10A of the Constitution, which is the right to a fair trial. How important is this as a legal expert? How do you see this, that this has been enshrined in the Constitution and every citizen has the right to a free trial, which is also one of the basic principles of the Islamic judicial system as well?
Right. So the Article 10A guarantees right to a fair trial, which was introduced to the 18th Amendment in the Constitution. Before that, the right to a fair trial was read with the right to life. And since we talked about the rights that are available under the Constitution, and we also talked about its enforcement, so when citizens bring their disputes to the courts, it is very important that they are given this right to a fair trial, because without a fair trial, their rights or their disputes cannot be adjudicated upon. So the fair trial aspect of it is very important. It's there in the Constitution, and it guarantees that every person bringing their disputes, or even matters before their disputes, once they're up for adjudication or they're there to be resolved, then they must be given this free trial, where regardless of whatever your social status is, regardless of whatever your gender is, every citizen, when they're before a court of law, they are entitled to enjoy equal protection of law from the courts, the law enforcement agencies, and any organ of the state that is essentially responsible for the dispensation and administration of justice. So it is a very core component of the fundamental rights.
Well, certainly it is. Thank you very much, Salman, for joining us and being part of our transmission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Salman Abbas, legal expert, of course, who highlighted all the constitutional, rights, or as we call it, the protection given to the citizens of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And I think the founding pillars of our nation as well, of Pakistan, in the vision of Qadi Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, were on the basis of equality and the guiding principles of Islam. And that's where you have Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And I think my father has always mentioned this, and I'd like to share this with you as well, that my father has always stressed on the importance of everyone to read the Constitution.
Absolutely.
To read the Constitution.
You know, there's an app for it. So if
you can
there's
find it
no,
digitally as well.
Yeah.
If you can't keep a copy of the Constitution, a booklet in your pocket, go and find it digitally. But I think it's an imperative subject. Pakistan studies was my favorite subject growing up, but I think when it comes to constitutional rights, I think each and every citizen should be aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think that will really help you in the course of life as well. But that being said, of course, we'd like to once again express our gratitude and our special thanks to Serena Hotels for providing us with delicious suhoor meals that keep us going full of energy during the suhoor transmission. So thank you very much, Serena Hotels, for being our hospitality partner in providing us with suhoor meals for us and our entire team of PTV World, which is doing Ramzan Pakistan in terms of the suhoor transmission. So thank you very much. Of course, we're going to be wishing you a blessed suhoor ahead. And of course, we're going to be joining you tomorrow, same time, with, of course, another winner of the question that we just told you. And for those of you who have already won, congratulations to you. And from me and Naila, of course, I think we wish you more and more vouchers that you can win.
Absolutely.
So we're all rooting for you. Obviously, being the host, we can't compete.
Yeah, we
That is
can't.
the sad part of it. But then again, we can always cheer you on.
And don't be shy.
Yeah.
Send in multiple submissions. You never know.
Absolutely. More the vouchers, more the fun.
Absolutely.
So keep on sending us your answers. Of course, from us and our entire team will bid you goodbye. But before we do that, we'll just ask Laiba, because she's got a beautiful voice, and we'll just request her if she can recite another Naat for us.
Absolutely.
जहाँ रोज़ाए पाके खैरुल वरा है, वो जन्नत नहीं है तो फिर और क्या है। कहाँ मैं कहाँ ये मदीने की गलियाँ, ये किस्मत नहीं है तो फिर और क्या है। जो आसी को कमली में अपनी छुपा ले, जो दुश्मन को भी जख्म खाकर दुआ दे, जो आसी को कमली में अपनी छुपा ले, जो दुश्मन को भी जख्म खाकर दुआ दे, उसे और क्या नाम देगा ज़माना, उसे और क्या नाम देगा ज़माना। वो रहमत नहीं है तो फिर और क्या है। जहाँ रोज़ाए पाके खैरुल वरा है, वो जन्नत नहीं है तो फिर और क्या है। मोहम्मद की अज़मत को क्या पूछते हो कि वो साहिबे काबा को सैन ठहरे। मोहम्मद की अज़मत को क्या पूछते हो कि वो साहिबे काबा को सैन ठहरे। बशर की सरे अर्श मेहमान नवाजी, ये अज़मत नहीं तो फिर और क्या है। बशर की सरे अर्श मेहमान नवाजी, ये अजमत नहीं है तो फिर और क्या है।
रमजान पाकिस्तान अल्लाह का एहसान है। रमजान पाकिस्तान